Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Human Plus AI Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Dave McManus. In this episode, I'm going to be pretty honest and transparent about what I think about AI right now and what it's like to build an AI agency and also build a seaweed farm at the same time. So, looking at my diary this week, thinking about it, one of the first things that I have written down is Claude launched Fable, which is their new proprietary model, which was based off their Mythos model, which was highly, according to them, highly dangerous for a bunch of reasons. They launched it, they built it up in the media, and then suddenly it got taken down because the US government didn't want them to show it. Now, I think that there's a bit of, this is again just my opinion, not doesn't represent Lightning Ventures. This is my personal opinion, but I think there's a bit of showmanship and marketing involved in this. And it is a classic Silicon Valley tool. I'm not underplaying the dangers of AI. I think AI can be very dangerous, but not for the reasons why a lot of people think. A lot of people think the dangers are, like advanced intelligence being super smarter than everyone else. I actually think the dangers are us writing code and letting it make decisions, basically like letting a computer just run rampant and do whatever it wants. Humans just overestimating how intelligent AI is and then letting it do whatever it wants and then crashing a bunch of systems. That's what I think the actual real danger is and risk. But I think Anthropic is very good at marketing and they're very good at building a buzz. I think the CEO of Anthropic right now is the flavor of the month, but I think all you have to do is look back a year ago and Sam Altman was the guy. He was the number one guy, Silicon Valley and across the world. He was a godlike figure, and then all it took was one thing for him to get kicked off that pedestal. So that's my opinion on that. I also think the switching costs of these LLMs are very low. Obviously, Anthropic, I think their product's the best right now, but they don't have a great moat, these foundational LLMs. So I think that's a risk. I think just generally every single person is now an AI expert, which historically when that happens in certain areas, I think it's great that everyone's using AI. And I think that's a sign of its adoption and a lot of people are starting to use it and getting a lot of value out of it. But I think it is symptomatic of a potential bubble longer term. Bubbles obviously seems super obvious in hindsight. However, when you're in one, it doesn't seem obvious at all. And hopefully you can remember back the crypto phase. It seems like a distant future now. Web3 and crypto, every single person was, oh my God, this is the future. You got to buy this coin, this coin, this coin. I'm an expert. Trust me, I know. I got a hidden tip. And, when that market burst, there was massive fallout from that. And I think what happens is, and having lived in Silicon Valley for 6 years, I saw this a few times. A new trend will come and there is value in the technology and there's value in what's happening. Money just floods in. VC money just starts flooding in and just goes after it. It's kind of like a herd mentality. Money goes in all the way in, then there's a bubble, it bursts, and then there's foundational technology that comes out off the back of that. I think that it's definitely different with AI right now because there is a hell of a lot of change and disruption to the existing workforce, and it can do things that we didn't think were possible through traditional programming. However, I still think that it is way overvalued for what it actually does. And actually, what people say online is different to what companies are actually using it for. And I think a lot of people are making money out of selling courses right now versus actually building software that does something. Now, my whole business is set up around AI and building with AI. So I, of course, think it's valuable and it can do incredible things, but I don't think that what the foundational models are like selling is in line with the reality of, how a small business owner or a larger business is going to use it. That's just my 2 cents on it. The fourth point is probably something a bit more personal, but I have a seaweed farm in Flinders, Australia. And I also have an e-commerce brand. It's called oceangreens.com.au. I am currently trying to fundraise for Ocean Greens. And the business has really slowed down because one, I've personally found it very difficult to run 2 businesses at once. And Lightning, which is my main business, is taking a lot of my energy. And I've had to take a step back from Ocean Greens. And right now is a time where if we don't put our foot down on Ocean Greens and we don't start getting some runs on the board, the business is going to go out of business. It's clear. So bank account is dwindling. We've got monthly expenses. We've got a full laboratory operating. We're paying rent for that laboratory, paying power for that laboratory. We've got massive expenses and we don't have a lot of revenue. And we are building seaweed farming and building carbon sequestration and building brand new products out of seaweed. It's not an easy, low capital business to set up versus like an AI studio, or you can get yourself off the ground with no infrastructure. We need infrastructure. It's a real world thing. And so I am actively speaking to climate focused investors to look at getting a small round together to get behind this, because we believe that we can scale this out to 100 hectares of ocean. We've got access to that ocean. We know how to get all the permitting, and we've got the infrastructure to build and scale these seaweed farms. And I know for a fact that that is a massive, massive problem. Obviously, tons of people are going to have to buy carbon credits, but it's even bigger than that. If you look at the global seaweed market, it's a $30 billion industry and it's growing. Japan, Korea, all of those countries are using seaweed obviously as food, but they're using it in skincare. It's in a lot of things. There's a bunch of bioplastic startups as well. So yeah, that's kind of my key update for what's happening this week. I think I'm really laying into content. I'm trying to get really good at storytelling. That's just a personal thing as a founder that I'm working on right now, is how do I improve content? How do I get good at storytelling? How do I gather attention and direct it to the right things? And then I'm also like thinking a lot about how do I build a world-class culture and a world-class team? How do I make Lightning Ventures the best place possible to work? Obviously, there's amenities and like snacks and smoothies and, all that good stuff, and free gym memberships and a cool office. But really what it comes down to, in my opinion, is how do we make people do their best work and feel like they're really empowered to work on hard problems that they love and work with great clients. I think that's critical. How do you work on something that you actually feel like, I am so lucky to feel like I'm working on this right now? Because ultimately that's how I feel. When I come into work, I want to work on projects that matter. I want to work on things that I care about: education, healthcare, climate change activities, the food industry, agriculture. I want to work on things that matter and that are going to have an impact. So that's what I'm pinning long term the culture towards. Super keen to hear what you think. How do you build a high performing team? So drop me a line, send me an email, or shoot me a message either on LinkedIn, or I'm on X as well. And I'll see you on the end of the next episode. Thanks.